Wunsch meiner Mutter war, dass ich Priester werde. Wie Sie. Sie träumte davon, einen Herrn in der Familie zu haben. Ihr Sohn im Kirchengewand, das hätte sie stolz gemacht.
Priester ist kein Herr, sondern Diener. Meine Mutter wusste das. Sie war fromm, aber sie war auch ein Mensch. Mitten im Leben stand. Hat mich sogar in die Tanzstunde geschickt. Wenn es nach ihr gegangen wäre, hätte ich alles Mögliche werden können, nur kein Priester.
Ich glaube immer noch, dass Sie alles Mögliche werden könnten. Erheben Sie sich über die belanglose Frage, ob Sie ins KZ müssen oder nicht. Überzeugen Sie Ihren Bischof.
So wie Judas die hohen Priester.
Ja, ja. Judas war ein Tagmensch, er wollte etwas bewirken. Er sah in Jesus seinen weltlichen Führer. Aber Gott gab ihm einen anderen Auftrag.
Der Verrat gehörte nicht zu Gottes Heilsplan.
Auf dass die Schrift erfüllt werde. So steht es in der Bibel. Allein Judas war unter den Jüngern stark genug, diesen Auftrag zu erfüllen. Ohne Judas keine Kreuzigung. Ohne Kreuzigung keine Erfüllung des göttlichen Willens.
Ohne Judas keine Weltkirche.
You know, one of the things I find amazing is the way the Nazi, you know, in this dialogue, tries to raise up Judas as his hero because he's a man of action. The reason it fascinates me is that over the past year or so, we've had all of this to do in some other networks about the gospel of Judas, the hero of one sect of Gnostics, and maybe they were really right. Well, they were as right as that Nazi was.
Well, as my father once told me, you know, what are heretics for but to prove the glory of God? You know, they're there so we can use our own faith and highlight its truth. Let me provide a little bit of background to that clip that you just
Please.
showed. In the book, there are many stories that are extraordinary, but I think the most extraordinary is that in the book, in the midst of this suffering and torture and torment, which he describes in graphic detail and with quite powerful passages, at one moment, completely out of the blue and without reason, he is offered his freedom, and he doesn't know why. He thinks it's almost too good to be true. Right in the midst of this hell, this suffering, they say, "We have news for you. Come forward, Father Bernard. We're going to release you." And all of a sudden, he thinks, out of the blue, he's been given his freedom. It's too good to be true. He suddenly finds out that the reason he's been released is because his mother has passed away. And he subsequently finds out that he thinks the Gestapo killed her somehow, either through stress, because she was, of course, bitterly protesting the imprisonment of her son, or by some other means. It's not too clear. But in any event, they grant him his freedom, but it's not total freedom. It's only a 10-day or 9-day leave, hence the title of the movie, The Ninth Day. During those 9 days, he is confronted with the biggest decision of his life. Now, keep in mind, he has been tortured. His fellow men, his fellow priests have been haunted and tormented beyond belief. Many of them have been killed and died. Now he's offered his freedom, so-called. But there's a price. The Nazis allow him to go out to bury his mother, but on the pretext of burying his mother, but really because they offer him, in exchange for his freedom, he has to collaborate with them and get the bishop to sign collaboration. That's how it is in the movie. It's not quite the same in the book, but that's the general tone. So basically, he is presented with the biggest decision in his life. Does he want to witness to his physical freedom, but also at the same time betray his faith, betray his conscience, and therefore preserve his life, but perhaps lose his soul? Or does he want to preserve his spiritual freedom and his spiritual integrity? And he's offered that choice. Does he choose to stay outside the gates of Dachau, where he may die, or does he choose to refuse collaboration and go back? And he makes the right decision. He refuses, and he goes back. And when he makes that decision, Father, he knows that it might cost him his life. But he's so true to his faith, and he's so filled with conviction that he makes that sacrifice. And I think that is one of the reasons that God allowed him to survive, to tell all these stories. And I think God rewarded him because of that tremendous decision that he made in his life. And you know, when I read that, I thought of all the decisions that we, as ordinary human beings, on a much more less dramatic level, are confronted in our lives. There are many times in our life where we're confronted with the same question. You know, do we follow Christ? Do we say yes to Christ, or do we say no? Do we say yes to our conscience, or do we say yes to the secular fashions of the world? Those are decisions we have to make, and always, everywhere, we have to follow the example of Father Bernard. We have to say yes to Christ, yes to the faith, yes to our conscience.
You know, one of the things that strikes me about Father Bernard and his decision is that it's made on the basis that he has faith in Jesus Christ. He is committed to the church that Jesus Christ established, and he's willing to lay down his life because he knows that there is eternal life. I contrast that with some of the contemporary atheists. There was just one on the news the other day, yesterday in fact, making fun of Pope Benedict and making fun of Catholicism, and was very, very cynical. It reminds me of Archbishop Sheen's definition of a cynic. They know the price of everything and the value of nothing. And this is the way that they speak of the church. Whereas the person of faith, like Father Bernard, knows the value of everything and doesn't have any concern for the price, even if it means his life. Paul out there.